Man, California just can't catch a break. We saw last night slash yesterday afternoon a battery power plant has caught fire. Now, this isn't anything to do with wildfires. It's not any arson or anything like that. It's just a very unfortunate disaster. Like now, I know we're all aware of how lithium batteries work, or at least a cursory understanding, and the fact that lithium is super volatile. There's a reason why lithium batteries are called spicy pillows, right? I mean, we've all seen the YouTube shorts where someone stabs a lithium battery, starts erupting in flames and smoke, and it's real hard to put out because lithium batteries just burn on contact with air, right? And, that's basically what's happened here. My understanding is that a concrete column collapsed, and I would assume pierced a few lithium batteries, which started a fire, and then obviously when the others got hot, also erupted into flames, right? So, I mean, disaster relief workers, they got their work cut out for them. They've got the wildfires that are still burning around the Palisades. My understanding is they're only something around 20% contained at the moment. They've also got this fire going on, and it's wild, man. Let's talk about why they even have this battery storage facility. Because, it's kind of stupid just to have battery stored unless they're doing something, right? So this facility is meant to store electricity from renewable energy, so, windmills, solar panels, hydroelectric, that whole deal, and distribute it to the power company. So it's owned by a Texas power like company processing place, and they sell it to PG&E, Pacific Gas and Energy, and yeah, it holds like 750 megawatts, so it's a big facility, right? And that's great and all, but obviously this is not a good time. So let's get into the story from New York Post. Battery storage plant catches fire in California, forcing state's latest evacuations. This is a disaster. A massive blaze erupted at one of the world's largest lithium battery storage facilities in wildfire-ravaged California, forcing some 1,500 residents to evacuate their homes as toxic smoke filled the air. The fire at Vistra Corp's Moss Landing plant along Monterey Bay, south of Santa Cruz and far from the Los Angeles wildfires, was first reported around 3 p.m. Thursday and exploded out of control into the night. There's no way to sugarcoat it. This is a disaster is what it is, Monterey County Supervisor Glenn Church told KSBW-TV. This is extremely disconcerting. That's one word for it. Monterey County spokesman Nicholas Pasculi warned locals it's imperative to heed the evacuation orders and take direction of law enforcement and fire personnel, according to the Mercury News. This is a situation where we take the idea of protecting life and property very seriously. We implore people to heed the evacuation order and go to a safe location, he added. Officials ordered, well, actually, look at that. You can see the blaze in the middle of the night. I mean, that's a spicy fire right there. Officials ordered the evacuation of about 1,500 people from areas of Moss Landing, south of Elkhorn Slough, north of Malera Road and Monterey Dunes Way, and west of Castroville Boulevard and Elkhorn Road to the sea. Residents in neighboring areas were urged to shut their windows and stay indoors, and several local schools announced they would be closed on Friday. It's a major incident, Pasculi said. All the resources in the county and neighboring jurisdictions have been deployed to assist with this incident. No injuries have been reported, and local officials are expected to provide an update Friday morning. The fire was contained within a concrete structure that had partially collapsed, Church said. Church said responders don't anticipate the blaze extending outward and getting beyond where it's in. There are a lot of batteries in there, and it's burning pretty much inside that facility, he said. The facility is owned by Texas-based Vistra Energy and is one of the largest storage plants in the world, holding tens of thousands of notoriously flammable lithium batteries, according to the Mercury News. Lithium battery fires can emit toxic gases that cause respiratory problems and skin burns and are difficult to extinguish. The large plant, which stores some 750 megawatts, is part of California's ongoing efforts to go green and supply electricity from renewable sources, the paper reported. Vistra sells the electricity stored there to the Pacific Gas and Energy Company. PG&E also operates a separate 182 megawatt battery storage plant on the site that has 256 Tesla Megapack battery packs, but that did not appear to be impacted by the fire. A megawatt's enough electricity to run 750 homes, according to the Mercury News. A Vistra spokesperson said all its personnel were evacuated safely. The cause of the fire has not yet been determined, but an investigation will begin once the fire is extinguished, the company told KSBW-TV. So first off, let's just talk about how impressive 750 megawatts is. I mean, that's enough power to, power 562,500 homes. Like, that's a lot of power. But let's also talk about how dumb these green initiatives are. I mean, not to detract from the fact that this fire is burning, but lithium batteries are like the least green way to do anything. Like, and I say that because, you know, there have been a lot of debates around electric vehicles, a lot of debates around lithium mining, cobalt mining, so on and so forth, right? Because you need cobalt, you need lithium, things like that to make these batteries, right? Now, obviously, mining in general is not particularly great for the world if you're trying to quote unquote go green. But lithium is one of the worst ways to do it because of the fact that, you know, they use slave labor in Africa to do it. Now, we found lithium here, but we haven't mined it yet. And right now, most of it comes from, you know, mines in Africa. It's wild that this is our version of going green, that slave labor is preferable to burning coal and oil, or better yet, preferable to nuclear. Because here's the thing, right? Like, we see these kinds of disasters and people are like, oh no, it's a disaster, it couldn't have been avoided. But like, the second you say nuclear, they're like, but what about Chernobyl? When, think about it, right? This is the first time this has happened, it won't be the last. There have been all of, 3 nuclear meltdowns in the past, 50, 60, 70, 80 years? We had Chernobyl, we had Fukushima Daiichi, and I believe there was a leak at a reactor in New York. That's it. That's the problem there, right? So I think it's interesting that California is all like, we need renewables, we need a way to store the energy from these renewables, when they could instead just do nuclear. That's my problem with all these eco activists, all these Green New Deal people, whatever, right? Where they say, oh, we need renewable energy, we need to go green, we need to have this, that, and the other. But nuclear is never part of the equation, when nuclear is much safer than this is. First off, it's less toxic to the environment, because lithium mining, not good for the environment. Lithium batteries burning, not good for the environment. Making windmills and solar panels, also terrible for the environment. Who'd have thunk it, right? When you have to dig all these rocks out of the ground, essentially, and make them make power, it's expensive, which, great, whatever, but also, it's bad for the environment, because think about with windmills, right? With windmills, once those turbines are done, either they get hit by birds or they're just, you know, expired, whatever, they can't get rid of them. You can't like recycle them. They just bury them in the ground, right? And how is that more green than taking some nuclear rods, right? Jamming them in a reactor, running that reactor, getting rid of the wastewater, and keeping those rods for X number of years until they need to be replaced, and safely moving those too. Because there's less waste from nuclear plants than there are from these renewable energies, right? Because think about it, right? Solar panels only work when it's sunny, and they break super easy. Windmills only work when it's windy, and they break from birds easily, right? Neither of them can be recycled. Neither of them can be reused. They make tons of waste. They take tons of oil to make in the first place. Whereas a nuclear power plant can run on 6 like nuclear coils or nuclear cores for like a decade before you need to replace them. The only problem you've got there is you've got wastewater you got to get rid of. But why don't we just do what we do with the windmill turbines? Why don't we just bury it in the ground, which is what we already do with the nuclear waste in the first place? So I find it interesting that this is California's way to make things more green, and yet all we see is disasters, more oil burning, and all this stuff, right? I think that all these renewable energies are just the woke way to virtue signal your energy, right? Because, sure, we can say that climate change is a thing, right? We can say that it's bad, whatever, right? We can say that coal and oil is not the way to do it. But then just do nuclear. They can power so many homes with just one plant. Plus the fact that we're working on nuclear fusion, which that will be phenomenal when that happens. I mean, I know Lockheed Martin was working on it and a couple other companies. I mean, when that happens, we'll have reactors the size of a semi-truck versus the size of, you know, a normal reactor, right? So, I don't know. It's wild. I think it's sad this fire's happened. I think that the whole California push for renewables is stupid because, you know, they're having rolling brownouts because of the fact that they're pushing for all electric vehicles by 2030, right? Like, one of the richest places in the world can't keep the power grid going because they're being stupid about it. They could say, you know, let's not first off immediately switch to renewables. Let's second off slowly move to electric vehicles, not all this fast stuff. Otherwise, you get the rolling brownouts that they have in California. Either way, that's all I got to say about that, guys. Next segment's coming up later this afternoon. Make sure to smash that like button, comment down below, tell me what you think about these renewable energies and about the lithium batteries and that whole deal. Subscribe and share this video with everyone you know. Thanks, we'll see you then.